Day 2 of my Wisconsin trip for Elmwood UFO Days began by waking up on the shores of the Red Cedar River in beautiful Irvington, Wisconsin. I slept well in my rented Hyundai Santa Fe at Ma's Irvington Campground. And since I only planned to be in Elmwood for the parade later, I decided to check out a nice waterfall on the Eau Claire River. As you may know from my previous videos, I'm very interested in waterfalls, both for their breathtaking beauty and also for their frequent proximity to paranormal and high strangeness activity. So I am at Big Falls County Park in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and I was going down to look at these beautiful falls, and there's this beautiful, what do you call it, water eroded stone that goes down to the water right next to the falls, and I'm just trucking along and fall backwards and bust my elbow. Hi. Watch out, y'all. It's super sandy, and I just fell and busted my elbow. Just be forewarned, it's super sandy. This elbow has had several bike wrecks. Where, as you can see, I've had surgery there. That's a big scar. But yeah, just busted my elbow open right as I got down there. So I came back to the car to, fix this. Luckily, I have all the first aid stuff, but it really cut my trip to Big Falls short. Gorgeous place, gorgeous place. Now there's two young ladies down there, and I'm gonna leave them to it while I fix this wound, because it's a pretty gnarly little gouge. It's old scar tissue. Ugh. So, and it's busted open recently. It busted open when I went to see Mr. Bungle. As I was walking into my Airbnb, knocked my elbow on the brick of the door, the entry of the doorway of the Airbnb, and busted this elbow open. So I don't know, blood offerings, I guess. Blood offerings everywhere I go. Anyway, I'm gonna tend to this. It didn't take too long. I got it all fixed up. It's fixed up. Because I am a smart traveler. I've learned from the best, my friend Jesse. I've got my hand sanitizer, able to sanitize. I had some these little antiseptic wipes, also great. I think I got these from the first aid kit at the Airbnb in Indy when I went to see Mr. Bungle. I got my antibiotic ointment and plenty of Band-Aids, and it's all back together. And this reminds me of a little thing I saw on Instagram the other day, something from Bashar. I'm not sure if you all follow Bashar, but he's actually, I can't even remember the man's name that channels Bashar, but Bashar is an entity that this man, I'll think of the name, channels from another sphere or plane. And Bashar says, whenever you're in trouble, think of the AAAs, and that's acknowledge the circumstances, appreciate what you do have, and how things, are still good, and allow for what's going to come next. So I immediately thought of that as I was sitting there with on the stone with my glasses fell off, my hat fell off, It was hilarious. And then as I realized I was bleeding almost immediately. So, anywho, that is that. And now this park is filling up. So I'm going to go on and see what's down the road. And, yeah, I'll let you know what I find. I'd noticed on the map there was a place nearby called Elk Mound, and on further research there was indeed a mound there. Falls and mounds are my things, you know, so I headed for a place called Elk Mound Park. But upon arriving, I quickly realized this was just a nice municipal park for picnicking and sports, and not the site of the actual mound. The actual mound is only a little over a mile north of the park and appears to be just a steep tree-covered hill in a residential area. Once I got there, of course, my other camera battery died, and I switched to my phone. I have to say, the old Samsung works better for me as far as steadier shooting goes. They called this structure the Elk Mound Castle. It was built in 1938 with WPA funds. I was surprised to learn that this isn't the highest point in Wisconsin. That's Timms Hill, over closer to Green Bay. Still, it's a pretty impressive view. Wow, look at that. Okay, and so this thing was built in 1938, it says. Here it says, special thanks to Mrs. Hostock and the social problems students of Elkman High School and the citizens of the village of Elkmound for reopening Mound Hill. Huh. In memoriam of the deceased rural letter carriers of Dunn County. Oh, that's nice. So, it's 1938. Whoa. Whoa. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Wait, whoa. What's happening? It's gone dark. Little did I know, this location is purportedly haunted. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary, but my camera did go black as soon as I turned 180 degrees inside. Elk Mound is near the border of the Driftless region in southern Wisconsin, an area formed by glacial movement over and back again that formed this mound. It's not a man-made mound like the ones in Cahokia, Illinois, or Charleston, West Virginia. There are literally thousands of man-made mounds in Wisconsin, though. I found that there were an estimated 15,000 mounds prior to colonization, with some 4,000 left. This is according to the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. These mounds range in age from circa 550 BC to 1600 AD. It's just me and the turkey vultures up here. here at the tippy top. Another mound. Wisconsin, Elk Mound, Wisconsin. The view. Are you trying to tell me these mounds don't have nothing to do with no UFOs? We got 13 vultures around us today. Look at them all. 13, I counted. Ooh, what's that bell? Church bell? Look, they love it. They love it. Okay, so this time I came prepared with an offering for the mound. I got this little geode. This little geode that's been sitting on my altar for several months, well, over a year. I got that at the Dale Hollow Lake, where I saw the last unidentifiable lights that I had seen prior to yesterday. So over here, I'm gonna flip this around. There's these little parts in the rock here. So I'm gonna leave my geode as an offering to the mound, since I walked on it, and since everyone walks on it. We're just gonna place that right there as an offering to the spirits of the mound, who I think, if you ask me, know everything to do with this UFO business. Okay, cool. Off to Menominee to hopefully charge my batteries on my Lumix. And so I headed toward the Raw Deal, a fair trade organic eatery and cafe in Menominee, where I charged my batteries, sampled the local kombucha, and read about CE5 protocols from a book I'd bought at the festival. I had an hour to kill before the parade. I came to find out that Menominee means people of the wild rice, and it's actually an Algonquin name that was given to the tribe that populated the area of Wisconsin and Upper Michigan. More on that later.
Thanksgiving dinners and Easter egg hunt. Congratulations, Dave and Amy! Really helpful. Dave helped us out here. Had a little emergency before we got started. He helped us out getting that fixed up. Dave's a good man. He knows how to flow on the run.
I got back to the parade route just in time to catch the UFO Days Grand Marshals, Amy and Dave Beckel, as they rolled through. And then it was time to honor the firefighters of Elmwood and the surrounding counties. I found this to be a really sweet and important part of this piece of Americana.
They're here to help, but also mutual aid other towns surrounding Elmwood to help Spring Valley, Plum City, Menominee, Boyceville, Velvet City, and New Galley.
Next up were the Zor Roadrunners. You can't have a parade without some go-karting Shriners, can you? These guys are from a Shriner unit out of a subdivision called Nelson's Riverwood. They entertain while raising funds for children's hospitals and such.
Always have been, always will be. Nelson Riverwood. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it, folks. Stay put. Don't you fill you in here, but it's a group of volunteers that volunteer to help out senior citizens in the community. I believe Elmwood and Spring Valley, maybe a few others, but those are the two I know about. If you're in Elmwood or Spring Valley and you want to stay a little bit active, these folks will help you out.
Staying Put for Senior Citizens had a float of sorts, a great organization that tries to keep the elderly in their homes. Nice people doing nice things for the town elders, of which there appeared to be many.
Next up is the royalty from Hudson, Wisconsin, up on the river.
Neighboring towns all get in on the deal. I love how they meld each of their town's main assets with the UFO Days theme.
Our Hudson Bell 2.
The Ellsworth Funsters are literally a bunch of clowns who organize events for local kids.
Our first political vote will go. It's the Funsters.
I did something that we know to change the weather. But I can't fight it, call for night, so stick around. You're gonna hear electric music, solid balls of sound. Say, can you know we haven't seen them yet? Ooh, but it's so fade down. Benny and the Jets.
What did you call me? What office are you running for? Look here, got the big Harley right on the front of that float.
Benny and the Jets.
Marching band. And Peyton Walker is our band instructor, Peyton. Coming into the intersection, the North Hudson Pepperfest. Watch out, these people are wild. They're hot. They're wild and they're hot. The North Hudson Pepperfest. And our king this year is Jeff Preston.
So if you watched the first part of my UFO Days coverage, you will have seen podcaster Aaron Gullius talk about how every little town in Wisconsin has its own festival like this. It's just such a wholesome way for the towns to build a community. I can't emphasize enough that this is what makes UFO Days so special.
Cottage Grove. Thanks for coming to Elmwood. Love the flow. We got Libby, Sarah, Mahania, Haley, Syria, and Amelia.
As the parade wound down and the temperature rose, I decided to cool off by going to visit a natural wonder that turned out to be only a 3-minute drive from my campground. So there's a view, and that's a trail. The Devil's Punch Bowl is a sandstone ravine formed by glacial meltwater some 10,000 years ago. The area is a preservation site that hosts some 12 different species of fern, 12 species of sedge, and more than 30 species of moss and liverwort. I didn't know it when I visited, but the area is a known place for orb sightings, and even one recent gnome sighting. I'm not surprised. It reminds me an awful lot of a place near my home in Kentucky called Bridges to the Past. With a name like Devil's Punch Bowl, you know there's gonna be graffiti. This was my third recent visit to a natural wonder with the Devil moniker. The first was Devil's Tombstones in Indiana, the second Devil's Whirlpool in Niagara, and now this one near Menominee. Where did that name come from? Most likely it's borrowed from the mascot of nearby University of Wisconsin Stout Athletics, the Blue Devils. Yeah, like Duke in North Carolina. Oddly enough, that name was borrowed from a French military unit during the First World War. It's weird, though, that a place like this, and others of such natural beauty, in places that were frequented by indigenous people, seem to get stuck with this spooky misnomer. Which brings me back to the name Menominee. This name, which means people of the wild rice, was given to the tribe that called these lands home. But they had their own name. It was Kayash Machatawak, and it meant the Ancient Ones. David Grignon, the preservationist for the Menominee tribe, says that their origin story is from roughly 10,000 years ago, from the mouth of the Menominee River, over near Green Bay. A story as old as this 10,000-year-old glacially made gully. And this makes me think about the UFO sightings, and the orbs, and the gnome. What if all these things are connected? What if what one person sees as an orb, another sees as an ancestral spirit? What if one person's UFO is another's Thunderbird? What if the ecology, geology, and topology of a place like this gully, or Elk Mound, or Big Falls, is intrinsically alive with the essence of those who've come before? Wouldn't we want to protect that place? Wouldn't we want to remember and honor those spirits? Whether those spirits are paranormal, extraterrestrial, ultra-dimensional, or what have you. Whether there are nuts and bolts UAPs, flesh and blood cryptids, or mystical fairies, elves, and trolls, it doesn't really matter. What may matter is remembering places and remembering the spirits within those places. And that's why we should tread lightly and leave only footprints and not rush to bulldoze, but instead preserve. This is it right here. How do you get up in there? You just get up on foot? And this is somebody's house? Oh, man. Cute little cemetery hill, tended in the pines. It's very cute.